Go home show for the Survivor Series War Games. SmackDown tonight, 11/29/24. I have the official spoilers. The results for tonight's show, and we're going to go over them on this Amped Up with BC. Now, I know what you're thinking. BC, the show is hours away from going on the air. How do you already have the spoilers? How do you already have the results, BC? How are you going to review this? Well, I'm glad you asked. You should know by now. It's all too common lately, right? WWE taped tonight's SmackDown last Friday. So after that show went off the air and CM Punk and Roman and the Bloodline, the faces are posing for the hard cam. They taped another show, this week's. So that's how we know. Not only are these shows taped, but they're taped literally a week in advance. That's the saddest part. But because there's some individuals that claim, WWE is being so nice. And Hunter Hearst Helmsley, this is how much better he is than Vince. He's giving wrestlers days off and holidays to be with their family. What a nice guy Hunter is. This has nothing to do with Hunter trying to get the Good Samaritan Award, guys. This is business. This is all this is. Right? When the USA Network extended WWE's Monday Night Raw contract for 3 months, while they wait to go to Netflix, right? USA was generous, but they cut a lot of that revenue. They also cut that third hour. So this led WWE to say, wait a second, we can now film, we can record 2 shows in one night now. 2 hours and 2 hours, it's only 4 hours. That's what a regular show would be anyway, 3 to 4 hours. When Raw was 3 hours every single week, there's no way you could do that. That's keeping your audience there for 6 hours. And if Raw was good, okay. But because Raw is nowhere near good, even WWE knew that's too much for your audience. But when you went to 2 hours, you can now record the following. You could record the following week in one night. So this was business at its finest. When SmackDown went to the USA Network recently, 2 hours, cable network, WWE's like, wait a second, we don't have the same restrictions that Fox gave us. We had to be live every single week. We can just tape some SmackDowns just like we are with Raw. Let's just make a lot of money toward the end of the year before we go to Netflix. And that's what they're doing, man. This has nothing to do with holidays, guys. They've already recorded like 6 tape shows already within the last month and a half. There wasn't any holidays. Halloween? Is that what you're going to try to sell me on? Please, they love having Halloween shows. Who's going to wear the giant pumpkin on their head during the Halloween trick-or-street fight match? Who's going to be bobbing for apples along ringside? They love that type of crap. This has everything to do with business. It's the flywheel, right? Endeavor paid so much money for WWE that now they need to recoup that. Where can we cut costs? Where can we get rid of excess departments, contracts, and miscellaneous expenses? How can we get rid of that? How can we cut cost? How can we make money where there isn't? With UFC, the flywheel was different. With the WWE, they're looking for any loophole they can find to try to get their money back. This is it. This is one of those ways, man. Taping a bunch of shows for the end of the year is going to look really good for WWE for their next conference call when they go over those quarterlies. This is a lot of money they're saving. These are a lot of live shows being put on the shelf for tape shows. And what makes it a lot less fun for the audience is not just because they're taped, but because they're taped a whole week in advance. It's like they don't even care. It's one thing if you're taping it like that weekend, right? It's a Monday Night Raw and it's taped on Saturday or Sunday. Okay, right? Most people haven't even come across the results yet. Okay, if it's SmackDown, maybe they taped it a day before or maybe even that morning. Maybe they were out of the country. It was taped earlier, edited a little bit. Okay, no problem. You can edit it. But just have it that night, right? It was taped earlier, so it still feels like it's new because it was taped within the last 24 hours. But when you look at these tape shows, guys, they're all being taped a week earlier. This goes back to when they used to do this at one of the lowest points in WWE's tenure. They've been around for decades. One of the lowest points I can remember is when they were taping shows all of the time. And I'm talking weeks in advance. You knew what was going to happen weeks in advance. That's not fun for your audience. Anyway, The point is, this show was taped last week. I refrained from telling you guys anything, trying to make it semi-fun for you. But because it is now Friday, because the show is hours away, and I'm not going to put this out after SmackDown late near midnight. I'm not going to put this up early tomorrow morning when there's a pay-per-view PLE that night, Survivor Series. So no, we're going to put on our big boy pants, and we're going to go over the spoilers and the results. If you don't want to, earmuffs. Just mute the sound or just come back after the show. This will be up on the channel. Come back. We'll go over everything that happened, and I'm going to give my thoughts on everything. So this isn't just results and spoilers. I'm going to give you my review on what happens tonight in this upload as well. So just come back later if you don't want to hear the spoilers now. But if you're ready to rock out, I know a lot of you guys are going to listen to this and still watch the show. A lot of you guys are going to listen to this and go, oh boy, BC, thank you for saving me from this. But that's what this is, spoilers, results, and my review of tonight's show. And I have the results and spoilers, and I can review this show because they produced it last week. I can't wait till that stops. It is not fun. It is the opposite. And I could see if you're putting together a show that on paper we have to see, even though we know the results. But what I'm about to go over for you guys, this is almost like WWE telling their audience every which reason not to watch tonight. So here's what I mean. And real quick, before I get started, a big shout out to everybody that caught yesterday's upload. That was on Thanksgiving. That went up really late. It was recorded earlier. It went up really late before my Green Bay Packer game. And you guys still rock that out big time. We talked Brock Lesnar, Alexa Bliss, John Cena, all of their returns, a little bit of new details, some discussion on it. You guys brought up a great point, too, on the Cena return. Meltzer's report that it's between 30 or 40, 45 dates, something like that. You guys brought up a good point, some of you guys, how Cena had originally said something to that effect, that those were the amount of dates he'd most likely be working. And Meltzer just took that and just regurgitated it, not knowing that there was much more intricacies to it. There was a lot more detail that went into it. It's a much more of a unique contract than just set dates. So while Cena may have had the best of intentions in saying that, it's a much more detailed contract. So Meltzer just regurgitated a lot. That didn't even dawn on me when I was going over that story in yesterday's upload, the amped up show for Thanksgiving. So good call on that. I don't know, what is reporting and what is regurgitated these days? I don't know. For Meltsy boy, he just blurs the line. But that's all he did, is he took some comments from Cena, tried to regurgitate it, not knowing that it's much more unique. John Cena's type of deal. Very interesting. We also talked Roman's dates for 2025 and why that's a bigger problem for Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So it was a really good upload yesterday for Thanksgiving. I'm glad a lot of you guys were able to already catch it, and if you didn't, it'll be up on the channel after this upload. Let's talk about it, because I got to go get a coffee. I did not brew one up in the amped up Monster 5000 coffee machine. And I gotta get coffee. So we're gonna run through this, guys. I will not keep you here long. You guys can go about your Black Friday and buy a bunch of stuff online or whatever you're gonna do. Make sure the first thing you do is get your memberships right here on the channel. Gold card. You start at the gold card, you get your first gold card. After a year, you're gonna get your diamond card, and then after 2 years, you're gonna get the golden coffee card. So get that. If you're getting anything on Black Friday, get your channel membership. Much love and respect. Salute. I think there was a Super Thanks yesterday too, correct? Or was it the day before? I forgot. If there is, I'm going to put it somewhere up here if there was a Super Thanks as well. I may have gotten them all yesterday. We'll see. I'm trying to cover all bases here. All right, SmackDown 11/29/24. This was a taped show. Yes, how fun. We're going to have a match tonight to determine which bloodline will have the advantage inside of War Games. Guys, Jacob Fatu will defeat Jason Uso tonight. That is official. So Jacob Fatu, for his team, gets the bootleg bloodline the advantage for tomorrow night's War Games match at Survivor Series. Jacob Fatu, a big W over Jey Uso. I don't know why that's needed. Why does Jey Uso have to go over from Raw when he has momentum? He's got everybody eating. That sounds horrible, but you get it. And he goes over to SmackDown, and you just throw him in there to be fed to Jake Fatu. Stop. I don't know why that's needed. Why did it have to be Jey Uso? I'm not saying I want to see Jimmy, who just got back, take an L, but Jimmy is nowhere near, momentum-wise, where Jason Uso is. So just watching Jason Uso lose to Jake Fatu doesn't sit well, but that's what you're getting tonight. Bootleg Bloodline will have the advantage. There is also going to be multiple segments filmed. I might as well stick with those two factions. There's going to be multiple segments filmed with Punk, Roman, and Solo. What those are, we don't know. The live crowd didn't get to see those. A couple of them, I believe they did, and then it is believed that there was like 4 or 5 more that were recorded after. So how many will actually air tonight, who knows? But there is going to be Punk, Roman, Solo segments tonight. You expect Paul Heyman as well. Although that wasn't in the initial report, but I mean, if you're going to have Punk, Paul Heyman just came back with him. So expect Paul Heyman to really sell this. Also, a triple threat tournament match for the women's U.S. title tonight. Michin will defeat Piper Niven and Lash Legend, who substituted for Jade Cargill. Interesting. Lash Legend substituted for Jade Cargill. Now, much respect to Lash Legend. We want the best for her. I really do feel she's improving. A lot of people just like to trash her. I feel she is improving. I see a place for her for sure. Substituting for Jade Cargill in this tournament, I don't get that. She hasn't even been here for half a cup of coffee. And because one person is out, Lash Legend is now going for a championship because that's what's happening. She's in this tournament. There's a lot of ladies that are not even in the tournament. I don't see how that's... I mean, that makes about as much sense as putting Jey Uso in there to be fed to Jake Fatu. But that's Hunter Hearst Helmsley's booking for you. I'm told he's cooking. If he is, he's burning down the kitchen. Somebody get Hunter out of the kitchen. I try to say this all the time. And then this is the worst booking botch, this next match. You ready for this one? So this is Cody Rhodes defeating Carmelo Hayes. Now, again, I asked this for Jake Fatu and Jason Uso. Was this needed? Cody Rhodes defeating Melo. I really hope they just put this on like Dark or like a house show match, and that's all this was. Because if this actually makes the show tonight, and by the way, that is on the call sheet for tonight's show. So as of this recording, that is supposed to be on the show. I'm just hoping they change their mind and they get this off of it. There's zero reason, and I do mean zero, that Cody Rhodes should be beating Melo. Melo should be losing to Cody. I'm not saying Melo should be beating Cody, by the way. You don't have the match. And for any of you guys with short memory, or maybe you just like to forget a lot of the trash that you watch with any wrestling company, I do have to remind you, this is a rematch. They already put Melo in there with Cody. When Melo really first came onto the scene, and he was doing his little catchphrase, Melo don't miss, and all he was doing was missing. Sethington was beating him over on NXT. Then he came over here. You had people like LA Knight and Cody Rhodes and others beating him. So the new catchphrase is, all Melo does is miss. Cody beat Melo. Okay, whatever. Was that supposed to show everybody that Melo can wrestle, shake hands, mutual respect? Because months later, you're putting Melo back in there with Cody, and you're just having him look up at the lights. I don't see how this... Is this the best way to book Melo? It's rhetorical. Of course not. I will say again, get Hunter out of the kitchen. Cody Rhodes defeats Melo Hayes. And then Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Naomi. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and Naomi announced that Bayley will in fact be their 5th member for their team at War Games Survivor Series. You guys saw what happened with Jade Cargill. Then you saw what happened. That was on Friday night. Then on Monday, you saw Bayley help out... who was in there with Belair, actually. She helped out Belair by swiping the leg of Nia Jax. Nia Jax was supposed to go face first into a exposed turnbuckle. She was a full foot away from it, so it was a massive botched finish. They couldn't even do the replay to show you. Wade Barrett stumbled and fumbled his words because he was supposed to go, oh no, she went into the turnbuckle. But instead, he was like, Joe, I think she hit the turnbuckle. No, she didn't. Wade. The whole thing was a botch. But Bayley, pretty much right there, we all knew Bayley was absolutely... And if you didn't have the results already, if you didn't know the spoilers, You right there came to the conclusion. Bayley's number 5. So Ripley, Belair, Io, Naomi announced Bayley will be their 5th member. So, there you go. Now it's just about who's going to turn on who. In the men's match, we believe somebody is turning on Roman. A lot of people do believe. Vegas was even saying recently they believe it's going to be CM Punk. I don't see that. I think that's stupid. I think Punk and Seth Rollins have to face each other, with Punk being the face, Seth more of the heel. And I see Sami Zayn being somebody who would turn on Roman before anybody else. It would make sense and would rejuvenate any of us caring about Sami Zayn going forward. I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't trust Sami Zayn. I don't know if Roman should. And for the ladies, it's all about who attacked Jade. Was it somebody to try to get into the tournament? Was it Lash Legend, some people are thinking, and she took her spot? For Survivor Series War Games, Bayley took her spot. Was it maybe Bayley? I don't like that. We just saw Bayley as a heel with damage control. She became a face, got teeter-totter booking. It's either you give her good booking or you don't, but if you keep flipping her face and heel, she's going to be no better off than Big Show, Mark Henry, and Charlotte Flair, and Kane. These are all people that turned face and heel 1,010 times, and it was a detriment to their character. So you don't want Bayley to do that. She's a face now. Let her be that. All you got to do is give her proper booking. Bayley being the one to take out Jade, and this is all just to get to Bayley versus Jade. If that really excites you guys, more power to you. That does nothing for BC. That's a SmackDown match at best. Bayley versus Jade Cargill. No thanks. We probably have already seen that in some way, right? Even if it was a tag match. But Bayley becomes the 5th member. So there you go, guys. A weird L onto Mello via Cody Rhodes. Bayley's announced as the 5th. Uso loses to Fatu. Jey Uso loses to Jacob Fatu in a advantage match, I can speak. And then a triple threat tournament match for the women's U.S. title. Michin defeats Piper Niven and Lash Legend. So Michin with a big W. Michin will go forward. Good for her. I always said with Michin and Chelsea Green's dumpster match from what seems like a couple months ago now, maybe it was a little less, there was so much momentum you should have had for them, right? Take them on a ride. They were the talk of the town, and not in a bad way. A dumpster match is so gimmicky, it could have been bad. But all the talk was about how good it was. And instead, they just left them at catering or completely off the shows or in segments that were completely irrelevant and insignificant. Chelsea Green finally with a big W this past Friday night, and it looks like Michin will now get a big W. So will they rekindle there for will you go Chelsea versus Michin in the next bracket? I'm not sure. But all right, guys, that's what I got for you, man. That is that's the results and spoilers for tonight. That's my thoughts on all of them in real time. So we'll see how it actually plays out, how they actually produce it, what gets edited in, edited out, cut out, what makes the show, what doesn't. But this is the final rap sheet that BC was given for tonight's show. So these are your official spoilers. We'll see. Tomorrow night, obviously, Survivor Series. I hope to be live with you guys for a live The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly review and watch along. But even tomorrow morning, there's a good chance you guys might get a special pop-up, amped-up weekend edition. We'll tie up any loose ends with everything going on with the pay-per-view tomorrow night. And maybe we'll even talk some SmackDown if anything happened that we didn't discuss and it was actually really good. Or if something was really bad, like the Mello Cody match, it was even worse than what's on paper, then we'll talk about that. So tomorrow's just a big day on the channel. Make sure you guys are locked on to it. Make sure you guys are subscribed, notified, smash those ups to help out the algorithm. You guys know the deal. And until next time, and there will be that next time, top guys, we are out. BC in the unit, saying check you. Deuces, ooses, salute.